Hello, hello, hello. And today we will be talking about a second scene and about again why light can carry your scene and legitimately can be the reason why your scene looks good and it looks average. Let's take a look at it, and I will explain some thought processes and just in general, like the ideas that went into it. Um, we have this scene. We have our main light, which is coming from the top right. We have a small key light, which I have turned off. We have a small key light from the left. We have a soft backlight, which you can see here on the right side of the side things, and we have a spotlight. And these are our main lights in the scene. We obviously have some bounce lights on the ground and stuff, but that doesn't really matter. It's very, very, very material dependent. Okay, let's have a look at our backlight. This is our backlight back here. And if you turn it off, you can see how much this just gets black. And if it's activated, you can actually see where the um, left side of the composition ends, which is very, very important and gives us a very nice touch in the scene. And this is just done by like putting a very, very soft backlight. Like you can see it has 20 watts, which isn't a lot when you compare it to like our main floodlight, which has like 250, or spotlight, which has like I think 400 even. But yeah, um, right here is our main light. This is the light that creates like the atmosphere in the scene. It's also a color light. It's a very soft yellow, and it's basically responsible for lighting out the entire purpose, like the entire main hall of the scene, basically. You can Important thing though is even without this area light, you can still see the central part of the composition clearly. It's not gone. It is highlighted by other lights, which was important for this composition. And you can also see the backlights and highlight lights way better if I do this. But this is legitimately all the light that is in the scene. It's coming from top right. It is giving the scene some nice depth, and it's basically just filling the room with not too much light for it to be oversaturated, but not too dark for it to just vanish completely. Then we have our next light, which is our spotlight. We have actually two spotlights. We have a slight blue one, and we have more or less front light, which is also very, very soft. Why did I do that? Well, um, if we only take the top light, I felt we had not enough front coverage, and if we make the backlight disappear, I felt like we don't have enough like side coverage. So we have two lights which basically do sorry, it's this light here. Yeah, we don't have enough back coverage. Also, like you don't see the fog very nicely if I don't have this very, very top spotlight. So that's basically I have added a second spotlight, and it has a different color. Why? To give the fog and just in general the centerpiece a bit more depth. So that we have like a soft front light, which just gives the thing like which blends it in with our main light here, and we have our colder top light, which just shows the fog, which also gets obviously some light from the main light, but it separates it from like the other fog that that is in the scene. Then we have another spotlight, and this is honestly not that important, but you can definitely see if it's not there. And it's this spotlight, and this is a backlight for our main composition. Why is this here? Well, if you turn it off, you can see like these highlights here vanish. And you don't overly need to do this. I just think in this context, it's a very nice touch, and it can bring certain depth in your scene better to light if you have like a soft backlight to your camera and to your object. Like obviously it could be bigger, it could be more, but I think it works very well with that, and we have a very nice dynamic with our left backlight here on the left side of the image. Yeah. And if you compare this to a very, very basic light setup, which I also have here, which would be something like this is a light setup that is in essence more or less the same. It's very, very basic. Like you can see, we have a soft backlight and we have a lot of floodlights here, but they all have the same color. They are not very, they don't create nearly as much depth in the scene as this. Like it's it's not even close. Like this just gives the image so much more depth than if we, for example, would activate this. Like this is so much better. Obviously, it lacks the spotlight here, and it's a bit too dark back here. But just disregard that and just look at the front of the composition, how much it changes with like this very neutral light and this very volumetric light. It's an entirely different scene, and this is by just changing how we set up our lights. So yeah, for the next time when you're doing a composition, play around with the light. It changes so much in your scene, and just set specific backlights or front lights or just volumetric lights up in your scene to really enhance parts of the composition you want people to see. For example, you can see if I disable this and enable this, how much less my central part of the composition really shows, just because there isn't a spotlight on this. It's basically like more or less the same lighting setup. Just the the spotlight on this is missing, and it's changing the focus of my scene entirely. It is going away from the red, and it's going to the right in this image. It's going where the bright part is, which is this part, and we just completely forget that this middle part even exists. And again, this is just by changing how our lights look in this scene. And this immediately grounds this piece in the middle. It's not pushing the viewer to the right. It's grounding the piece in the middle. The main focus again is our red part here. Well, th this was my short rant and explanation. I hope some of you could take something away from this, because I really think that light design is something that goes overlooked a lot and is very, very important if you want your renders and animations to look good. And it's something that I think most 3D artists underestimate, how hard it can be and how long you sometimes need for light to look good. Well, this has been going on for already way too long, so I hope you have a pleasant day, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.